Good morning and welcome to Race Industry Now, the weekly webinar series from EPARTRADE, presented to you by ARP, Performance Plus Global Logistics, Feria, Peak, Fifth Third Bank Motorsport, Crower, and CTEC Manufacturing. I am Francisque Savignan, the founder and CEO of EPARTRADE, the racing industry, every minute, every day. This is episode 543, and we're going to be talking with Hotshot Secret. With me this morning are Judy Kin, the co-founder of EPARTRADE, and wonderful host, Mr. Brad Gilly. Judy?
Thank you, Francisque, and thank you everyone for joining. We have some big news this week. Brad, I don't know if you're aware of this, but we're celebrating our 7th year anniversary when we launched this platform. You know, it's not just a platform. We have a newsletter series. We have our weekly technical webinars, which we're watching right now, and end of the year race industry week. So we've really evolved, and it's so hard to believe we're at our 7th year, but we wouldn't be celebrating this if we didn't have the trust and the belief of the industry. So we're thankful to all the players and the entire industry. So Brad?
Yeah, I would agree with you. A lot to celebrate, and just the first 7 years. Looking forward to how this continues to grow and benefit the racing community in so many different ways. So, Francis, Judy, we'll see y'all here shortly because we got a lot of cool things to talk about on today's webinar. And as Francis had mentioned, Hotshot Secret are our panelists today. The title of the webinar: Fueling Champions: The Future of Racing Fuels Starts in the Lab. Our panelists: Kyle Fischer, Hotshot Secret Director of Field Marketing and Partnerships, and Lavon Miller, the owner of Firepunk Diesel. Gentlemen, how are y'all doing today?
It's on. Doing good.
Awesome. Happy to have you here. All right, so Kyle, let me start with you. Hotshot Secret has so many products. Like, what a great extensive product line when it comes to lubricants and all kinds of things. And let's talk more specifically about what we're going to be talking about today. Could you give us a quick overview?
And we really came up on the diesel side of the business. So starting with our original product, our Stiction Eliminator, which is an engine oil additive. And from there, developed our Diesel Extreme, which is our first fuel additive. And now I think we're up to 80 products or so. So it's what's made us unique is we've always focused the business on solving problems. So we've never been a company that looks for a market opportunity or a product line to fill in, or we've always stayed true to finding issues in the engines, in the transmissions, and developing specific products to fix those problems. And that's where a lot of our partnerships have guided our product development, including Lavon here at Firepunk. And that kind of got us from over the road to this motorsports and racing applications.
That's really cool. Lavon, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you guys have going on there at Firepunk.
Well, Firepunk specializes in high performance diesel trucks. About 65% of our work is for the enthusiast, and 40% is your normal, work truck, camper, toter, farmer. But we're full service for the Dodge Cummins platform. We're also servicing the GM Allison transmission. We do transmission remanufacturing department, and we do between 40 and 80 transmissions per month. And then we have a full service department. We have a full fabrication and race department where we do roll bars, suspensions, turbo kits. And we also have a dyno that we do chassis tuning for our pre-emissions trucks and competition only trucks. So we have our e-commerce platform.
That's impressive. So you guys know diesel.
we get to play with a lot of cool diesel trucks. That's for sure.
Very true.
That's awesome. I want to encourage anyone viewing here today. This is your webinar. This is your opportunity to also ask questions. If there's something you want to know about, something very specific to the products we're talking about here today, or maybe you have another question that could be answered by our panelists, just type it into the chat and we'll get through as many of those as we can here today. But we definitely want to talk about what it is that you want to talk about as we highlight what's happening with Hotshot Secret and all of those things. So, Kyle, you guys have been a longstanding presence in motorsports. How did racing become such a core part of the brand's DNA?
These guys plan on that. So it's a story we've told quite a few times. Many moons ago, before we even were making any racing products at all, we're a very science-based company, so we always want to put good testing out there, good data, and our goal is always to educate the consumer. We're in a tough market. The lubricant markets lost the trust of a lot of people over the years, and there's been some bad products out there, and we've always tried to be the antithesis of the snake oil. Like, we want to get rid of that, because there are good ways to make lubricants. There's good products out there. There's good chemicals. And one of the things I always say is, especially as we get more into the racing side of things, everybody's up to date on the most advanced technology of injectors and turbos and transmissions. But on the lubricant side, people tend to I use my daddy's stuff, but we've got some incredible technology and some new advancements in the lubricant market as well. And so we try to get out in front of that and really put our testing out there. So it all started many moons ago. We didn't know, we're about an hour from Firepunk, Hot Shot Secrets in Mount Gilead, Ohio, just north of Columbus. Firepunk is, which we're at here today. I'm actually at Firepunk getting my truck serviced from these guys. So they're in the Plain City, which is just west of Columbus. So we're about an hour away. And at the time, we didn't know them from anybody. As big as we were in the over-the-road trucking diesel side, we knew nothing about the performance side, but we needed some dyno time on, actually it was our FR3 product, which is our friction reducer. It's an oil additive. And we wanted to show any type of horsepower gain that can be made with it. And again, we're not inventing the horsepower. We're just freeing up that engine to make the power. And somebody had suggested to us, well, there's this performance shop near you guys called Firepunk Diesel, and I know they've got a dyno. So we rang Lavon and offered to wanted to rent some dyno time from them just to do some data on our product. And I know it kind of surprised you said before, we took a little different approach than probably most of the calls you get.
Yeah, normally they call and they bring me a truck and they dyno that, they bring their own vehicle, and these guys showed up with just a box of product, and they say, we want to pay you to put your truck on the dyno, and we'll put our product in your truck, and you tell me if the results are good. And I'm like, now that's the kind of snake oil salesman I can get along with, because now they're actually putting their money where their mouth is, and they're not skewing any data, because I got to see if I could prove him wrong, and I couldn't.
I like the snake oil reference because look, no matter what you do when it involves any sort of motorsports or anything like that, if you start to get on forums and you hear those same stories, this is what my daddy used, or this is what so on and so forth. Anytime anyone starts an oil thread, it's like an evil thing. No, because it's just going to go endlessly. But the one thing that I really like about talking about lubricants is, to me, it can perform two roles. Number one, longevity. And maybe that's not number one for some people. Maybe number one is performance, but longevity and performance. And this is truly a product, and these are products where you could actually increase both. Because the lubricants you have can help you with performance. They can also help you with longevity. But finding that sweet spot sometimes can be the hard thing to do, or when people start putting out all their press and everything like that, it's easy to write down words, but when you guys are sitting there right inside of a shop that is doing this day in and day out in large numbers, that's where the proof of performance really shows up, right?
And where we felt comfortable getting into this. We've always focused as a brand on the protection side. The performance is actually a byproduct of the protection, really. So as we came up, well, it's like with the FR3, they tested this on the dyno. They saw performance gains on the dyno. What we're seeing is a reduction in wear. And as we reduce wear between two metal components, we see reduction in heat and the power as a byproduct of it. Now, of course, everybody's interested in the power side on the forums and everything. We're happy that we keep these engines together. And from the FR3, which is an oil additive available at all your parts stores right now, you can add any oil. Firepunk encouraged us to that we had something there, and so I think the first year we worked with you, you guys were just running our FR3 and the oil they were running in the race cars for the additive protection. And they encouraged us, said, hey, why don't you guys look into releasing, full-blown racing oils?
Yeah.
And it kind of started an interesting R&D for us. And I will say, I'm very proud of our racing oils. I strongly believe we have the best oils out there. And the reason being is that they're not money makers for us. We don't make any money on our racing oils. It's a playground for our R&D to show off modern oil technology. Our bills are paid by the truck drivers filling up on our fuel additives at the truck stops around the country. I almost feel bad for some of the race lubricant manufacturers that have to make a living off that stuff. It's very expensive to make a really high-end oil. So we were able to take a unique approach when we started developing the racing line, and we weren't held to any previous racing lubricant standards. We were given a free rein to develop something new. And one of the unique things that we already had developed was we have an oil called Blue Diamond. It's a diesel over-the-road oil, but it's a Group 4. It's a polyalpha olefin, and I won't get too nerdy on you here today, but that's a grade above what would be considered your Group 3 synthetic oils. And what's unique about it is it's a identical replicated carbon chain. It's a true synthetic oil that cannot shear. And so we developed that oil for over-the-road trucking, that for truckers that wanted to go long intervals. So we first started having trucks go 50, 100, and now we have trucks going over 150 up to 200,000 mile oil intervals without changing. There's more to that. You got to run bypass filters, and we have a re-additize process of spiking the oil, but the base package will not break down. So when we started working with these race teams, we found that, when they're throwing 3,500 horsepower at these oils, we could shear them out of grade in one pass. And so in product development side, it's like, well, hey, we got a base oil that you can't beat up, and so a lot of our over-the-road technology we incorporated into racing oil type packages, and allowing these guys to go out there and beat up on it and be great partners of ours to test and advance those products.
Lavon, can you expand on that a little bit? Because again, this is why I love having both of you on here.
Yeah.
We got
I'll dumb it down maybe a little bit for the I think of everything from a farmer standpoint, because I grew up on a farm, and I that's how my brain was as a teenager. So when I explain things, I try to get back to that level, because oftentimes when you start talking about formulas and oil, people's eyes glaze over.
And I will say, I've already dumbed it down some.
Yeah.
You're lucky you don't have our tribologists. So
Right.
I just try to dumb them down. It's better at it.
So that's where we were at with the race car is if you take the molecules of your oil, the base oil, he was talking about being a Group 4 and all of the molecular structure being the same and not being able to shear. When you take 3,500 horsepower worth of force on a bearing, picture a table like this with a bunch of different size balls on it, golf balls, softballs, tennis balls, and then you roll a box across that. The box will only hit the biggest balls. So same thing with the oil molecules. If those are all different sizes, as you put all that horsepower with a load on it, it will shear those down, and that's why your weight of your oil will change after we put a hard pass on. So when they developed the Group 4 base oil, and then they mix that in with the FR3 technology, the carbon nanotechnology that reduces friction, and you can't shear it, we could put all the load we wanted on those bearings, and we had 100 passes on a set of main bearings, and they still, you could still see the profilometer marks on the bearings when we assembled the engine, because you couldn't shear the oil. All the load was spread out evenly across the bearing. So when we take this oil into the racing series, we can take this to the extreme levels. And I know that if it works for that, it's going to be incredible for the daily driver, daily consumer. It's going to be a lot better. So we try to test everything to the extreme in the racing, and then use it to prove its application in the normal applications that we use in my coach that we tow to the races, in my truck that I daily drive, and all that stuff that's normal horsepower levels.
And part of that with the the longevity that you brought up, Brad, too, that's where we really pride ourselves in. And I remember when Firepunk was the first diesel to run in the threes. What year was that?
That was 2021.
2021. We went down. Was it No Mercy?
Yeah, No Mercy ran a 399 at 189.
Yep,
something like that.
And that was the first time we got a diesel in the threes. And I remember that weekend. That was like our one weekend that we kind of bring some of the diesel toys to go play with the gas guys. And we had a lot of people coming by Firepunk's pit. They came over to congratulate these guys and a lot of the other, gas racers. And I still remember them looking at this engine and asking questions and saying like, well, okay, so how many passes do you get out of this? And Lavon explained to them that we hadn't opened the engine all year, and it was over 100 passes.
I think 98 passes that year.
And these guys were just stunned. And I get it on the gas side of things. They have an extra engine in the trailer. They're tearing them down every weekend, and so to get that type of longevity, and honestly, it's a unique thing that we're proud that oil can protect it. We're proud that these guys are pushing diesel motorsports to a whole nother level. And it's opening the minds of some of these guys, the top level of the gas side of racing, to really respect what these guys are doing. And it's fun watching it grow from there. And I think one of the most attractive things when those guys see it is the cost of the program. These programs aren't cheap to run, of course, but certainly compared to what some of the engine teardowns are on the gas side of things, it's kind of affordable to run over to the diesel side.
I like, it's interesting because we started this conversation, Kyle, and you were talking about solving problems, things like this. And I look at this and literally everything you guys were just talking about. One of the problems it solves, among all of the other things, is also removing limitations. When you're building and you're putting in consideration, okay, what do I need? How long am I going to get it for? And all of that. It seems like there are limitations now that you might have been dealing with that get removed, especially if you're talking about making 100 passes on a motor and seeing what you were seeing with the bearings as well, Lavon. That's incredible.
Every time do we get that lucky, because we can have a valve that can decide that it doesn't want a valve anymore, and then we're tearing into it like we did this last weekend. But from the oil protection side of things, that's really what we were looking for. Is like before, other oil manufacturers we were working with, when we didn't like our oil analysis, they just gave us a different product to try. We'll try a different weight. And we didn't have that personal relationship like we have with Hot Shots. And that's what has really elevated our program working with them. Is they have in-house lab. They'll take an oil sample back, they'll analyze it, and they say, hey, I think we can make it better. We can solve this problem and fix it. And that's why this relationship has worked as well as it has.
And on our side of the fence too, it really is an extension of our R&D, and that is our involvement in motorsports. Of course, the branding's great. It's nice having the logo out there and get the recognition. And of course, those budgets are tough to get for those type of things. And where's the return? And other companies out there are looking for motorsport sponsorships, and the sponsor relationship is always hard to get your hands around and really drive ROI and find it. I'm really fortunate at Hot Shot Secret that we don't really measure it that way. We made a conscious decision at the very beginning of these relationships to offer help to the industry. We really came in and we're the title sponsor of the Outlaw Diesel Super Series. We're the title sponsor of the NHRDA. We sponsor on the polling side, the NTPA. This year, we just started a new big title sponsorship of the Pro Polling League. So we do that to get in front of the engine builders, the race teams, the racers, and offer help. And we always try to stay in our lane. We're lubricant experts, but one thing I've learned over the years is, I can go to Firepunk's pit and I see they've got their suspension, company that they work with is there helping them dial in. They've got the engine builder there with help, and I don't see many lubricant companies out there in the pits helping out. And what that's done for us is my job's kind of always running around with sample cups. So anytime I see one of these guys they're changing something, I'm there to sample. And obviously, if there's a problem on track, I try to get to the pits right away. If it's out of my hands, if it's non-lubricant related, we back away. But what that's done is created kind of a family amongst other manufacturers, and it opened up the conversation through these race teams with the engine builders and with these other manufacturers in the industry that open up further conversations and then allow us to work together for further product development. And then we find once you talk to somebody enough, they start telling you about their problems. Yeah. And I always say, like, I feel bad for people that have problems, but we love to find, so working with some of the big engine builders and we see something, that's happening and they just say, it's kind of weird. I didn't usually have this and I'm starting to see this. We happily provide the R&D to try to figure that out. So it's an advancement for everybody. And in the end of the day, that improves our lubricant technology for the everyday guy, for the products that we have at your auto parts store and on the shelf. It all trickles down to that. So short of having like hard ROI dollars on the sticker that was on the side of a car that went down the track, it's really the product development and the relationship building within the industry that I feel confident and proud about. This diesel motorsports industry, how much gains it's made in the last 5 years is mind-boggling. And I attribute a lot of that to being fortunate to have great partners in the industry, willing to share information, willing to look behind the curtain and see how we can work together to improve problems and ultimately improve performance.
Yeah, I love hearing about the support side of sponsorship that goes well beyond just financial. Lavon, we have a question from the chat. What plans does Firepunk have for the Duster this race season?
Go as fast as humanly possible. That's the short answer. We lost a valve this last weekend, so pulled the motor yesterday. Going to get it fixed up, and we've got a couple races, some night of fires, some fun events that we're going to do throughout the summer, and then we'll be at the Shy Diesel Extravaganza running with the Outlaw Diesel Super Series. Then we want to be back at Lights No Mercy this fall, back on radials. We won a 385 at 198 miles an hour last year, and hoping to go faster this year.
I love that. Hey, could you guys tell us a little bit more about the Outlaw Diesel Super Series as well? I know that's a big thing for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, that is really, it's just a playground for the guys who are diesel motorsports enthusiasts. They have a class that pretty much anybody can fit in. You could take anything from your stock tow truck that you can run in the ET class all the way to the pro truck classes and top diesel classes. That's where they have rails and pro mods, and there's a bunch of really, really fast trucks. And a lot of the guys are guys like me. We started by just taking our street truck and making them a little bit faster, and then things got carried away very quickly. And then soon you have a race truck, and then soon you got a 2,000 horsepower monster that you got to harness. And this is a place where we can all get together and go racing. And we have, I think, 6 points races this year, maybe 5. And then we have an awards banquet at PRI in the fall. So it's kind of like it's a bunch of outlaw races that all follow the same point series that you can follow points if you hit all these events, earn points, win some money, make some friends.
Hey, while we're talking about events, let's talk about successes in the Ultimate Call Out Challenge.
Yeah, we came back from the Ultimate Call Out Challenge this weekend.
Still talking from that.
Yeah, it's almost like a diesel festival because you get such a wide range of everybody from the motorsports world coming out. You have the DPI Expo, so all the vendors are there. And then the Ultimate Call Out Challenge competitors, they have to take one truck and compete in drag race on Friday, a dyno challenge on Saturday, and a sled pull on Sunday.
And this is where these guys really show up in their teeth many years ago when we first started working. Back when Lavon used to put a helmet on and and race himself, was 3-time defending champion of the first 3 of them.
Yeah, we won 2016, 2017, 2018, and then 2019 we decided to bow out and start helping customers. So then we helped our customers win 2019 and 2021, because I think 2020 we skipped because of COVID. But ultimately, it's it's a marathon for these guys, because you got guys putting their trucks through their paces. You know, you got to
It's the
drag.
ultimate torture test.
Yeah, you got to drag race it as lightweight as possible, as much by horsepower as possible. Then to dyno it, we had Josh McCormick that won, did 3,108 horsepower on the chassis dyno. And if you've never chassis dynoed before, that is a feat to try to get. It's hard to get over 2,000 horsepower, and over 3,000 is very difficult. And then you have to transform that truck that you were racing with into something that can pull a weight transfer sled on Sunday. So you see guys, taking their race tires off, and they're bolting duals on the back, putting a weight box on the front, going from 4,500 pounds to 8,500 pounds, so they can pull the sled. So it's like a transformer, but it takes a team of people. It takes a lot of products, a lot of good parts, and it's fun to see.
And that's what we love. That's why Hot Shot Secret absolutely loves this event, because it truly is a battle of the toughest. And it's, sometimes the guy who's the fastest on the track on Friday might blow up on the dyno on Saturday.
Yeah.
So it's a game of attrition. And normally once you get to the pole on Sunday, you've got half the field that started on Friday.
Yeah.
So it's from a lubricant standpoint, oh, we love it. It's like the ultimate test of if we can hold up and not to mention, these guys always get a little bit excited. These guys that poke the boards, and they might come into the weekend with a plan, but of course, when it's their turn to pull up on the dyno or something, they usually hit the up button a couple times more than they should. And that's our job too. That's actually why, I don't know if I ever told you this, but that's actually why we named our racing line Adrenaline, is because we've always felt that there's some good products out there. There's some good options for people that can protect during the planned circumstances up to a high performance. But we wanted something where you needed like the guy that lifts the car off the baby. It's we wanted that adrenaline. We wanted something when these guys go a little bit too far, we still want to provide protection in the outer waters where nobody should be going.
That is so cool. I love this. All right, Kyle, let's talk about fuel additives. You sometimes hear talk about fuel lubricity. Why is that such a critical issue, especially in racing applications?
Well, specifically on the diesel side of things, diesel is just a poor fuel from the pump. And so it lacks lubricity quite a bit. So old trucks were used to a diesel that came from the pump that had a lot more lubricity in it. Over the years, they've mandated ultra low sulfur diesel. The process of removing sulfur from the diesel dries out the fuel considerably. So it's really important to lubricate your diesel fuel. And, that's our bread and butter. That's what keeps the lights on at Hot Shots is our Diesel Extreme and our Everyday Diesel Treatment are top two fuel additives over the shelf that I'm proud to say are now the number one products in the country on the retail shelf. And that's where we sharpen our teeth on the lubricity side. So then once we started getting into this racing stuff, it's compounded. It's even worse because as you raise the cetane of the fuel, which is what we're trying to do to produce more power, it combats the lubricity. So an already dry fuel gets even more dry as you tend to crank up the cetane in it. So there are very few diesel performance fuels on the market. And unlike the gas side, I think VP has a catalog of over 200 different types of gas side fuels, but there's literally, I can count on one hand how many diesel performance fuels are out there. So it's an untapped market where not many people have tried to, figure it out too much. And the products that have been available are extremely dry. So when these started hitting the diesel performance industry, a lot of our racers are coming to us and saying, hey, and we'd hear them because we'd be at these events. And I remember one of the first times I heard guys popping down the track, and I could hear these injectors just popping from a lack of lubricity. And, that can damage the system. The only thing lubricating that fuel system is the fuel itself. So what's unique about the diesel fuel system is the extreme high pressure. So up to 30,000
up to 39,000 PSI on some of the new stuff.
Yeah, 40,000 PSI. So it's incredible pressure that requires a lot of lubricity. And so we have our racing top lube, which is one of our lubricants that we use, and that's good for ethanol, methanol, E85, nitromethane, diesel, you name it. It's a fuel, performance fuel lubricant. So we started really introducing this product into the racers that were using some of the performance diesel products that were too dry. And then from there, we've been working on our own racing fuel for many, many years now. And about last year before, we released this product, which is our R82 Plus. It's a diesel fuel additive that makes performance diesel fuel from pump fuel. So just to give you a comparison of dosage, a bottle this size is a quart bottle of our everyday diesel treatment. That's for the everyday guy over the road. This would treat 800 gallons of fuel. This bottle for the racing guys treats 4 gallons of fuel. So treat rate wise, it's a very expensive product, but it allows them to bring the cetane up as well as lubricate the system at the same time. So it's a safe way to make power. And that's where, again, where we really hold most pride is being able to protect these fuel systems, protect these engines, keep them together all year, and then use our technology to also make the power gains on it. So one of the great things that we have now is we finally released our new full-blown racing fuel. I literally roll the drum on that. And our new Outlaw R100 Plus is a fully blended fuel. So it's been many years in the making, and now we have it out. So it has all the lubricity and all the cetane that you need. And it's PPL, NTPA legal. So we're right underneath the dielectric reading to make it a legal fuel to use. And we're excited to just get this out in the market. And speaking of, it's only been out a couple of weeks now. We just got it to all the drivers this past weekend at UCC, and Josh McCormick, who won the Ultimate Call Out Challenge, and I believe was the only one to go 3,000 horsepower on the dyno, was running the new fuel. So we're excited to have some of our guys out there using it. And that's the ultimate circle for us, when it can actually get out of the product. All the lab testing we do, all the dyno testing we do, all the research we do, when we finally put it out in the real world and they get those real world results is what makes us excited back home in Mount Gilead, Ohio.
Yeah. And see, I like the idea. Having the fuel treatment is great, but like you talk about, you're treating pump gas. Having your own racing fuel, now you have control over every step in the process. And for someone who's a consumer of something like that, they know that what they got last week, they're going to get 2 weeks from now and 2 months from now, and so on and so forth. I mean, really, the consistency of what you're running through your engine, that's a big, big deal, right?
Well, that's what we were looking at when we go to the engine dyno. We take the timing curve right to the line of the maximum we can take. So if I have my cetane rating changing from one fill up to the next, it changes my tune up. And that's really like the R82 that raises your cetane points about 32 points, and your average cetane from pump fuel is 50, but it could be 45 and it could be 55. So now your cetane is different and it could change your tune up. So the R100 is over 100 cetane rating, and it's consistent. It's the same mixture. I know I can go to the dyno with it, get it dialed in. I fill my tank with it every time. Now I have a consistent. And when we talk about solving problems, earlier when we had race fuel, a lot of that stuff was so dry and didn't lubricate well. A lot of times, like a lot of tractor pullers would put hot fuel in, go run their competition, and then they drain it back out and put pump fuel back in it, have more lubricity in it, because if you let it sit over the winter, it would score your fuel system up and you ruin your pump or ruin your injectors. So now if you can have a hot fuel that still has the lubricity, it solves a problem.
And one of the cool things that I'm looking forward to most with this new product that we have is we take a lot of pride in really advancing the industry. We've got great partners in this industry. Our small little diesel world is a very tight world where we're fortunate to have everybody that tends to play along in this and help each other out. So our next step with this really is to try to master, and again, we stay in our lane, but we really want to master the tuning side. Tuning is such an important thing. It always has been on the diesel side, but not necessarily based on the fuel. So we bring our expertise to the table, not in understanding the tuning side, guys like Lavon bring their tuning expertise to the table, not really understanding the lubricant side. And as you can tell, he's learned a lot over the years. Like he speaks this very well now, which is awesome, which is what we love. Is getting more education on the lubricant side. And I think if more race teams spoke to their lubricant manufacturers and learn more, it becomes a bigger part of your race program then. When before it was, is it protecting the engine or not? Are we sticking with this oil? Or are we trying something else? But to be involved with it, I was talking with Lavon earlier while I was over here, because we're always talking about stuff. And I'm learning more about this field. So I know on some of the first results that we were hearing right away organically on a lot of the race teams that we were testing on was easier startups, faster turbo spooling time. The one that got me hung up on was the less ignition delay. And so I'm like, okay, what's that, Lavon? Tell me what we're doing there. And really it's a byproduct from the cetane, and then it allows him from a tuning aspect to why don't you explain to me again what the
talk about ignition delay and earlier startup. You're like, how does a fuel make your engine start easier? Well, you have, diesel starts with compression and heat. So as your piston's coming up and it makes, say you get to 1,000 PSI of cylinder pressure and 1,000 degrees EGTs before it combusts. Well, if you have a higher cetane, now it only takes 750 PSI and 900 degrees. So you have a wider window that fuel combusts. And then from the time, say you're injecting your fuel 30 degrees before top dead center, and from the time your injector starts to open till the time it starts to ignite, that's your ignition delay. And so if you have a wider window, now you have a shorter ignition delay, and you can effectively run a little bit less timing. And then you can get your peak cylinder pressure won't be as steep. It'll be a more broader, wider power curve, and it can accelerate your crankshaft for longer after TDC. And those are things that when you have this fuel, you have to do the testing to make sure that your timing curve is right. And that's what they want to work with us and try to figure out, like, hey, if you're going to run 100 cetane fuel, you probably want to be in this timing window for this RPM. And every application is different. Me as a tuner, I have to understand how the injector delivers fuel, what's the mechanical delay between the electronic control and the delivery of it, and then what happens in the cylinder with it burning. And that's why in our race program, we added a cylinder head that has cylinder pressure monitoring capability. And now we can see exactly where the fuel burns, how the cylinder spike looks. That's stuff that you would never see putting it in a street truck. So that's how the racing programs that we have this advanced technology really benefits the average guy, because
and it benefits us as well, because then we get that feedback, and now we understand exactly what they're looking for, and then we can reapply some of our knowledge that we do literally on the over the road stuff, from the high BTU in here to the high cetane. As we bring the cetane up, it's something we're tackling over the road, because as the cetane raises, it gives you a more efficient burn of the diesel fuel. So on over the road applications, that's less particulate running to the DPF system, which are terrible systems that cause a lot of problems. So the less that we can work that DPF, the better. So we focus that on the over the road stuff. Well, we take that same principle of thought into what Lavon's requests are. And then as we can raise the BTU and the cetane of the racing fuel to extreme levels and be able to protect it with the lubricant, then it's doing the same thing in a race engine from a standpoint of having a more complete burn of the fuel, which then is what I also learned today was the result of, we're seeing a lot of reduced EGTs. And once they can drop, I know we just had somebody have a reduction of 200 degrees on the exhaust side from using the fuel. Well, then that gives, the ball goes back to the tuner side then, and then he's got more to play with then. So it's really a back and forth between the testing side, the racing teams. Sometimes they get to a point where like, I don't know what you got to do with it, but here's what I kind of need. And we're like, well, we get that part, we'll do that, and then give it back to you, and then give us feedback. And it just makes our world turn. And at the end of the day, advances diesel motorsports as a whole, which is what we really love.
I'd love hearing that. Got a question from the chat, and this is great because we're
Sure.
talking about not just things happening in a lab, but things happening in the real world. And really love that what you guys and the way you do it at Hot Shot Secret. All right, what night of fire? Let's see, what night of fire are you going to be at? I run a jet dragster, and recently was giving a sample of your fuel additive, and would like to talk with someone about the performance gain that I've experienced with my jet, and would be interested in trying your race diesel.
That actually, if anybody wants to contact me, if you want to contact me directly, Lavon at firepunkdiesel.com is my email. I have we have a couple of those on the schedule. One at 1:31. But I do not have my schedule in front of me. And so August 2nd, I'm not sure which night of fire that was.
Is it the trails?
It might be trails. I need to pull that up, but if he has any questions, I'd be glad to help him with it.
Yeah, and as far as the race fuel in a jet application, that is not the first one I've gotten in the last week since this has come out. Believe it or not, I've been getting a lot of jet engine requests for it, and yeah, it can burn perfectly good in jet applications. So some of these night of fire guys, I'm interested in.
Yeah.
And I will say, this has a very unique color to it. It's a fluorescent green based orange fuel, so it has a nice hue to it. And someone told me, I haven't seen it yet because I haven't been working with any of the jets quite yet, but I heard they burn the fuel, like the colors can, like the way it comes through the jet or something. So I want to
I
put
don't know
some
much
of this
about a
crazy.
jet engine.
No, me neither. But to who's asking the question, my email is kyle@lubricationsspecialties.com, and or you can contact us through EPARTRADE as well, and get a hold of me. I'd love to get some of this into the jets and see how we can do it. I know in the past, the jets we do work with, we've worked with on the additive side before we had the fuel, and we've had a lot of success with that as well. So I'd be interested in finding a new partner and seeing what we can do in the jet industry.
That is so cool. I like it. From jet engines to racing diesel to pulling your race cars up and down the road. It's like such a wide spectrum of everything. This is probably more of a summary question because I think it's been answered in multiple ways, multiple times, but with everything that you guys have talked about. But why should a drag racer or puller trust Hot Shot Secret as their go-to performance fuel solution?
I've been to their lab and building that personal relationship. Just they have earned the trust in me by bringing their products to me and let me test it and show them the result instead of them telling me how great their product is with fancy marketing. So if you have questions, just go to Mount Gilead, stop in there, take a look around. You'll build a relationship and earn some trust pretty quickly.
Yeah, and we love keeping our ear to the street. We love when people approach us. I love the doubters. I really do. So the guys that are most skeptical, give us a call. Stop on by. Like, we're open ears. We're always. That's how we learn new things as well, and meet new people. So one thing that's unique about the brand itself that I feel very protective of is the fact that we've always stayed focused on problem solving and high performance. We've gained the trust of our customer, and we're very fortunate for that. And we don't want to lose that. And we know, especially in this industry, it's tough. So we're very careful about product development, product release. I wish we got some of our products out quicker than others, but we're very careful in our QC and making sure that we have a quality product when it's released. One of the things that we also do when I'm out at these races with these guys and supporting the race teams with our Hot Shot Secret vendor booths is we give our product away free at every single race we go to. So anybody that ever wants to stop by a Hot Shot Secret booth, if you ever see us out at any event, you can stop by the booth and we'll give you enough EDT to treat 100 gallons of diesel fuel. It cost us a fortune to do that. I had to kind of arm wrestle the company into really opening up their minds to doing such wide open free sampling. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of companies that say, hey, I've got this great product, buy it. So I figured if we're really going to separate ourselves and we trust ourselves, let's put the product out there, let's put it in the customer's hands and let them make up their mind. And that's why I kind of love some of our 2-day events when I'm there on Friday and some some guy comes to the booth asking some questions, and I hand him a bottle and I say, hey, take it home, drive it like you stole it, come back tomorrow. I'm going to be here. I'm going to have to hear how bad my product is. And I love when that guy comes back on Saturday and says, man, I actually started better and, idling better. I felt better acceleration. So we love that turnaround story. And that's how we build the trust with the customer.
Man, again, that goes to sponsorship going far beyond financial support, but actual true support. And I think that's wonderful. Kyle, Lavon, it has been such a pleasure talking to both of you today. And I know if people want to learn more, they can go to the EPARTRADE platform, find out more about both Firepunk and Hotshot Secret and all of that. So it's truly been wonderful. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Very
Thank
much,
you.
and
What a
happy
treat.
7th year for you.
Thank you, Kyle, and thank you for your support and sending you the best from Andrea. And she's sampling pretty much ePortrait right now on the road, like you do, now visiting customers. And so no, thank you very much for being with us. And then what congratulations on the launch of the new fuel. I mean, that's exciting, and we wish you all the best. And thank you for sharing that with the audience today. This webinar has been recorded. It will be posted later on the ePortrait platform, distributed through our newsletter channel. In the meantime, we have pushed Hotshot Secrets back on the homepage of ePortrait. For more details and updates, please visit ePortrait.com. So next webinar will be with nano material and process. So once again, thank you and goodbye.
EPARTRADE is a digital platform that we've created basically to make life easier in the business community of auto racing.
EPARTRADE, there is no e-commerce. It's literally a connection just like at a trade show. So now, any time of the year, a buyer could reach out to a supplier.
When you see a product that you're interested in, all you need to do is click on request more information, and then from there it is forwarded directly to the buyer or to the supplier.
ePartrade really eliminates having to travel, closing down your shop. Now you have a place to showcase globally your racing product and technology.
Land speed record holder George Poteet's Speed Demon rocketed 481 miles per hour at the Bonneville Salt Flats. You don't go that fast without ARP fasteners.
There is no way that we could go the speed that we've gone, the number of times we've gone, with a lesser quality bolt than ARP supplies to us. And we absolutely wouldn't be where we were today if it weren't for ARP.
When failure is not an option, it's ARP-bolts.com.
We're Performance Plus Global Logistics. Our team of dedicated performance industry and logistics experts get valuable cars and components to the track on time in top condition. We provide expedited logistics solutions for the performance industry using direct routes instead of deferred options, and communicate all necessary information to the appropriate resources to meet regulations and ensure a smooth transit and secure delivery, both domestically and internationally. And we exceed customer expectations by providing best-in-class service with an efficient and cost-effective system in place. Contact us today to book your next shipment.
You work as hard as your truck, and you have no time for downtime. That's why more truck owners trust Blue Def, America's #1 diesel exhaust fluid brand. Each batch is guaranteed pure, so you can avoid costly repairs caused by inferior DEF. Demand America's best for your truck. Blue Def and Blue Def Platinum. Put trust in your truck.
With roots in the Midwest that date back well before the Model T, Fifth Third Bank has a long history of serving the needs of automotive companies. While much has changed over the years, our passion for helping businesses put cars on the road and on the track has not. Today, we are more committed than ever as a member of SEMA, a founding member of PRI, and a sponsor of multiple race teams across several racing series. Where can we take your business? Fifth Third Bank.
Where will you find Firepunk racing components? Circle track, drag racing, and any top race shop. In every form of motorsports competition, our valves and valve train components deliver race-proven design and technology. And we've brought that same performance to our street applications as well. We're backed by 5 decades of experience, an extensive range of off-the-shelf components, and our custom valve department has the fastest turnaround times in the industry. Firepunk racing components. Stand with us or race against us.
When it comes to pushing the limits of performance, the pros know there's no room for compromise. At Crower Cams, we don't just engineer camshafts and valve train components, we redefine what power means. Since 1955, Crower Cams has been the name trusted by racers, engine builders, and gearheads around the globe. Whether you're building a street machine, a dragster, or a track car, Crower Cams provides the muscle you need to dominate. And with Crower, victory is within your reach.
At CTEC, we're on a mission to lead the storage industry through innovative custom-built solutions that meet every challenge head-on. Designed for versatility, whether in a commercial setting or at home, we create high-quality, durable products that stand the test of time. CTEC, engineering and innovation.